One of the things that I noticed in your book, which I think is great for sales managers, especially new sales managers, there's a lot of them who could use it, is that you have a scorecard. Why did you develop that, and how does it help a sales manager?
I refer to it as the Sales Boss Scorecard. And primarily, I did that because as I was writing the book, I realized there's a checklist that someone would maybe want to go through several times. As we start, we tend to look at things a certain way. So, for instance, we might answer the question on how well do we do at coaching early in our career and say, hey, I'm great at it. As we get some experience, we might realize that what we used to label as great is no longer great. Right? We've changed, we've grown. So I wanted a way for people to go back and access things. The other portion of that goes back to human nature, and I teach this about salespeople as well, is that it's the concept of things being good or bad only by comparison, which means I typically, and I think most people are like this, we compare ourselves to ourselves, right? Because or what we've been exposed to, because if we thought we could be better, we probably already would have done the work of being better. So somehow either our standard is fixed or we've decided the standard doesn't have influence. So for instance, when I first meet with sales managers in an organization, I would say 100% of them say they're doing a pretty good job. Most of them will say they're doing a great job. And then that mock humility kicks in where they say, there's always ways we could make improvement.
Yeah.
Right? Until they see a superstar play, they don't know what they're comparing themselves to. And so that was the point of the scorecard. I think there's 160 some points in there. I think as people go through, my hope for them is that they go, wow, I could be significantly better than what I'm doing today.
When I was looking through the steps that you have, it's a great way to get somebody to look at themselves or reflect and say, am I doing everything I can? Am I doing the best I can? And what areas? It probably helps them also identify areas as a sales manager that they need to improve in.
Yeah, the sales management role is tough, right? You know that from experience. You have 1,000 things coming at you from 1,000 different directions every day. And so that structure and a way of stopping and saying, am I being effective today? And am I laying the foundation long-term for my team? Otherwise, we just get driven by the inputs coming in at us.
I definitely think people should take a look at those 160 items and see how they score against it.
Yeah, and hopefully, as someone reads that, they leave feeling energized, not disheartened. And the energy coming from, even if they're doing well, realizing how much better they could be doing.
Absolutely. You would hope individuals would want to continue learning, continue growing, continue to get better. And if they just assume they know everything, they don't, and probably aren't performing to the levels that the company wish they would.
Yeah, people that are in a sales management or sales leadership role, you'll find they tend to develop their management style from two things. One is, what have they experienced in the past? What did they see, feel? What process were they involved in? And they compare that to how they individually responded to that. So if they didn't like what Joe did because Joe was a micromanager, they say, I'm not going to do any of those things, right? And if they loved what Bill did, then they're going to do all of those things. We tend to just become a collection of those people that have led us previously. And the hope is through the work of the sales boss that someone sits and makes a conscious decision to lead in a certain way, not because it's the way they would prefer to be led, but because it's the way that's most effective for the individuals on their team.
And that's important. And as you were describing that's what popped into my head is it really should be the management process, the way you manage people needs to be different for different salespeople. Some people need more handholding. Some people need more coaching. So there's different things and there's different ways. You may need to micromanage somebody, or if they never get it, you have to manage them off the team. But you have to manage everybody different. You can't just, this is my management style and I'm going to approach everybody exactly the same way.
Yep, that's a recipe for disaster for sure.